katao ang naipit at nasaktan sa naganap na stampede sa India.
Ating alamin ang dahilan ng kaguluhan mula sa mga detalye ng balitang ibabahagi maya-maya. Magandang gabi. Ako po si Ricky Mathay.
Ako si Nina Richie Alagaw Flores. Ito ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman sa mga headlines ngayong araw ng Huwebes.
Nasa 17.4 na milyong pamilyang Pilipino nagsasabing mahirap sila noong Disyembre.
Pilipinas kinondena ang patuloy na pagpapalipad ng ballistic missiles ng North Korea.
Taiwan at China nagkasagutan dahil sa naging pinsala sa undersea cable ng Taipei.
US President Joe Biden magsasagawa ng virtual meeting sa mga lider ng Japan at Pilipinas.
At higit sa 100,000 katao inilikas habang 5 ang patay dahil sa wildfires sa California. Batay sa naging resulta ng Social Weather Stations o SWS survey, nasa 17.4 na milyong pamilyang Pilipino o 63% po ang nagsasabing sila ay mahirap noong December 2024.
Sinabi ng SWS na mas mataas ito kumpara sa naitala nilang bahagda ng self-rated poor families noong September 2024 na 59%. Samantala, pumalo naman sa 57% ang naitala nilang annual average self-rated poor families para sa taong 2024. Mas mataas ito kumpara sa naitala noong 2023 na 48%. Napag-alaman naman na ang Mindanao ang nakapagtala ng pinakamataas na bilang ng mga mahihirap sa 76%. Sinundan ito ng Visayas sa 74%, Balance Luzon sa 55% at Metro Manila na 51%.
Naka-alerto ang Philippine Consulate sa Los Angeles para bantayan ang mga Filipino nationals sa syudad para matulungan sila mula sa epekto ng sumiklab na wildfire. Sa kabila nito ay hindi pa nakatatanggap ang tanggapan ng Public Diplomacy and Information Section ng Philippine Consulate sa LA ng request para sa anumang tulong. Hindi pa kasi tukuyin ng consulate kung ilang Pilipino ang talagang apektado na ng umiiral na wildfire doon. Sa ngayon, nakikipag-usap na ang Consulate General sa mga lokal na otoridad para maiging mamonitor ang sitwasyon sa lugar.
Inihayag ng maritime security expert na si Ray Powell na namonitor nito sa bisinidad ng karagatang sakop ng Exclusive Economic Zone ng West Philippine Sea o WPS ang siyam na malalaking barko ng China Coast Guard, kabilang dito ang sinasabing monster ship ng China. Ang monster ship ng China ay may sukat na 165 meters ang haba at kamakailang na-monitor sa Caponza Island sa Zambales nitong Sabado lamang. Samantala, binigyan din ni Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson Commodore J. Tariela na ang presensya ng China sa WPS ay patunay na walang intensyon ng Beijing na bitiwan ang nasabing territorial waters. Nitong Martes kasi, binuntutan ng helicopter ng People's Liberation Army Navy o PLAN ang BRP Cabra habang ito ay nagpapatrolya. Kaugnay naman sa monitoring ng barko ng PCG sa monster ship ay pinalitan ng BRP Teresa Magbanwa ang BRP Cabra para bantayan ang iligal na pananatili ng CCG vessel sa loob ng EEZ ng Pilipinas.
Inihayag ng Health Department na walang dapat ikabahala ang publiko kahit na na-detect na po sa Pilipinas ang human metapneumovirus o HMPV. Kasunod ito ng pagtaas ng kaso ng nasabing respiratory infection sa China. Ayon kay infectious disease specialist Dr. Ronchen Solante, hindi ito bago kumpara sa COVID. Subalit, nilinaw naman ni Solante na ang dahilan ng HMPV ay hindi katulad ng COVID. Ayon sa datos ng ahensya, walang pagtaas ng bilang ng mga na-admit sa mga pagamutan na dinapuan ng nasabing sakit. Dati nang sinabi ni Health Secretary Ted Herbosa ng HMPV ay pang-anim na causative agents ng influenza-like illness sa bansa noong taong 2024.
Kinundena ng Pilipinas ang patuloy na pagpapalipad ng mga ballistic missiles ng North Korea kasunod ang pinakahuling missile test ng Pyongyang noong January 6. Sinabi ng Department of Foreign Affairs o DFA, ang ganitong gawain ng North Korea ay sumisira sa kapayapaan at stabilidad hindi lamang sa Korean Peninsula kundi sa Indo-Pacific region. Tinawag din ng DFA na isang provokasyon ang ginagawang missile launches ng Pyongyang dahil potensyal nitong mapipinsala ang economic progress ng rehiyon. Ayon naman sa Joint Chiefs of Staff ng Korea, pinaniniwalaang ang pinalipad na hypersonic ballistic missile ng North Korea ay may estimated flight distance na aabot mula 3,000 hanggang 5,500 kilometers.
Nahuli na ng mga pulis ang tinuturong mastermind sa pagdukot sa American vlogger na si Elliot Eastman. Kinilala ni Police Regional Office 9 spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Ramoncelio Sawa ng suspect na si Ustaz Zakaria Jamani, 35 taong gulang at tubong Cebuco, Zamboanga del Norte. Ayon sa opisyal, dinampot ng pulisya si Jamani sa bisa ng warrant of arrest sa kasong kidnapping at serious illegal detention. Kasamaan niya si Jamani sa 4 na suspect na dumukot kay Eastman sa Barangay Poblacion, Cebuco, Zamboanga del Norte noong gabi ng October 17, 2024. Dati nang inamin ng mga kasama suspect ni Jamani na patay na si Eastman dahil sa mga tinamo nitong tama ng bala sa katawan at sa paa. Kinumpirma rin ng mga otoridad na itinapon ng mga suspect ang katawan ng vlogger sa dagat. Susunod, Taiwan inakusahan ng China sa paninira ng undersea cables nito.
Cambodian lawmaker pinatay sa Bangkok.
At impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol susuko na nga pa. Mga detalye na ang mga balita niyan at iba pang mga balita sa pagbabalik na Mata ng Agila International.
Excited ka na bang malaman kung ikaw ang nanalo ng mga exciting prizes na ito sa ating NET25 Selfie with the Agila promo? Abangan ang nalalapit na announcement ng winners sa Love, Tony Pet, and Everything. Kada umaga, ESPN, sa Ganang Mamamayan at Mata ng Agila Primetime. Kaya naman tumutok lang dito sa NET25.
Nagsagutan ng Taiwan at China ukol sa pinsalang naidulot ng isang barko sa undersea cable ng isla ng Taiwan na ikinabahala naman ng publiko. Noong nakaraang linggo ay iniulat ng Taiwanese Coast Guard na nagtamo ng danyo sa isang major undersea communications cable ng Taiwan dahil sa pagdaan ng isang Chinese-linked private vessel. Ang naturang insidente ay nakaantala sa communications capabilities ng buong isla na nagdulot naman ng pagkabahala sa Taiwanese government. Mariin namang itinanggi ng may-ari ng barko ang kanilang pagkakasangkot sa naturang insidente, ngunit sa ngayon ay nakabinbin ang naturang barko sa northern coast ng Taiwan. Ayon sa pahayag ng Coast Guard ay ang barkong nakarehistro sa Cameroon at Tanzania na parte ng isang Hong Kong-based firm na pagmamay-ari naman ng isang Chinese national ay sumailalim sa gray zone activities na antala lang ang kanilang on-board investigation dahil sa masamang panahon. Bumuelta naman ang Taiwan Affairs Office ng China kung saan sinabi nilang common maritime accident daw na matamaan ang mga undersea cable at kinondena nito ang mga akusasyon ng Taiwan. Tinawag din nilang katang-isip lang ng Taiwan ang terminong gray zone dahil pagmamay-ari ito ng China.
Nasawi ang former parliamentarian ng main Cambodian opposition party na si Lim Kimya sa Bangkok matapos itong pagbabarilin ng isang assassin. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, ilang sandali matapos bumaba sa isang bus si Lim kasama ang kanyang asawa, lumapit ang isang lalaki na angkas ng isang motorsiklo sa politiko. Dito na pinaputukan si Lim at tumakas matapos magawa ang kanyang trabaho. Sinubukan namang i-resuscitate ng mga pulis si Lim, subalit tuluyan na itong namatay. Batay sa otopsiya ng Thai police, nagtamo ng 2 tama ng bala sa dibdib ang biktima. Nalaman naman ng mga otoridad ang pagkakakilanlan ng bumaril sa Cambodian lawmaker mula sa security camera video na kanilang nakalap. Anila, isang dating Thai Navy officer ang suspect at kasalukuyang nagtatrabaho ito bilang motorcycle taxi driver. Patuloy naman ang investigasyon hinggil sa planadong pagpatay kay Lim.
Ayon sa kanyang abogado, walang magagawa si President Yoon Suk-yeol kundi tanggapin ang desisyon ng korte ukol sa kanyang impeachment case.
헌법재판소는 단신 결정이기 때문에 거기서 파면 결정이 나면 그것은 수긍 안 할 수가 없는 부분. 대통령께서는 관저에 계십니다. 그거는 여러분들께서 의심할 여지가 없는 것이고.
Dahil ayon sa saligang batas ng South Korea ay hindi maaaring iapela ang desisyon ng 2 pinakamataas na korte sa South Korea. Ilang beses nang tumangging magpakita si Yoon sa pagdinig ng Constitutional Court sa kanyang kaso, sa halip na si Yoon mismo ang magpakita, ay nagpapadala siya ng representante at abogado upang maisulong ang kanyang insurrection case. Kasalukuyang nananatili itong nakabarikada sa kanyang presidential compound sa gitna ng security standoff sa pagitan ng Presidential Security Service at kapulisan ng investigation team ng South Korea. Ayon naman sa isa pang abogado ni Yoon Suk-yeol, tinitingnan ni Yoon ang security standoff na nagsusubok siyang arestuhin bilang isang political theater attempt upang palakasin ang imahe ng kanyang oposisyon at upang maibalandra ang impeached president ng nakaposa sa publiko.
대통령을 잡아간다. 끌고 간다. 대통령에게 어떠한 수갑을 채운다는 이런 보여주기식 이런 체포 절차를 걷어치우라는 것입니다. 현직 대통령을 지금 공수처와 경찰이 무슨 장갑차를 동원을 하겠다. 헬기를 동원하겠다. 이렇게 짧은 시간의 그 체포, 보여주기 체포를 위해서 이렇게 하는 것은 결코 정상적인 법 집행이라고 볼 수 없기 때문에 이러한 상황이 잘못되면 이것은 내전으로까지 갈 수 있다 하는 뜻입니다.
Sa unang pagkakataon matapos ang 8 sunod-sunod na taong pagbaba ng childbirth rates ay tumaas na po ng 3.1% ang bilang ng mga sanggol na ipinanganak sa South Korea noong taong 2024. Batay sa datos ng resident registration ng Seoul Interior Ministry, may kabuuang 242,334 babies ang ipinanganak sa South Korea, habang ang kabuuang bilang ng mga nakarehistrong individual doon ay nasa 51,217,221 noong nakaraang taon. Ang fastest childbirth rate ay nangyari noong October 2024 dahil umabot sa 21,398 babies ang ipinanganak sa nasabing buwan, 13.4% ang itinaas nito kumpara noong October 2023. Matatandaang naglatag ng mga hakbang ang gobyerno maging ang ilang pribadong kumpanya ng South Korea upang solusyonan ang tumatanda nilang populasyon at mababang bilang ng childbirth rates. Ilan sa mga inilunsad na programa roon ay ang pagbibigay ng bonuses at iba pang mga incentives sa mga magpapakasal at mga mag-asawa na magkakaroon ng mga anak.
Nakatakdang mag-anunsyo ng bagong $500 million security assistance package ang Amerika para sa Ukraine. Ayon sa Ukraine Defense Contact Group o UDCG, ay plano ni Joe Biden na ipangako ito sa kanilang huling pagtitipon bago siya bumaba sa pwesto. Ang UDCG ay isang komiteng binubuo ng halos 50 mga individual na madalas magtipon sa Ramstein Air Base sa Germany. Ginawa ito ng taong 2022 sa pangunguna ni US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin upang mapabilis at maayos ang pagdating ng mga armas papuntang Kiev. Sa ngayon ay wala pang balita kung magtutuloy pa rin ang operasyon ng nasabing grupo sa ilalim ng administrasyon ni President-elect Donald Trump, ngunit umaasa naman ang Germany na hindi bibitawan ng bansa ang kanilang kasunduan sa Berlin. Sa ngayon ay nakapagbigay na ng halos $63.5 billion in security assets ang Washington para sa Ukraine simula noong magsimula ang kanilang giyera sa Russia. Naging malapit na kaalyado ni Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky ang US dahil sa walang sawang pagtulong ng Estados Unidos sa kanilang bansa.
Sinara ng British Police ang mga kalsada sa paligid ng Regent at Burlington Street dahil sa isang bomb threat. Nanawagan din ang mga otoridad na kaagad lumika sa mga tao roon. Batay sa investigasyon, may isang kahina-hinalang sasakyang na naiwan sa Central London. Siniyasat ng mga pulis ang loob at labas ng sasakyan at nagsagawa rin ng ilang controlled explosions upang matiyak na ligtas ang publiko. Matapos ang ilang oras ay nag-anunsyo rin ng mga otoridad na cleared na ang nasabing area.
Binalaan ng Germany at France si US President-elect Donald Trump dahil sa umano'y pagbabanta nitong sasakupin ang Greenland. Nagpahayag si French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot na malinaw na walang pag-aalinlangan na hindi hahayaan ng European Union na atakihin ng ibang mga bansa sa mundo ang mga sovereign borders nito. Ipinaalala rin ni German Chancellor Olaf Scholz kay Trump na ang principle of the inviolability of borders ay naangkop sa bawat bansa kahit maliit o napakalakas man ng isang bansa. Ang principle of the inviolability of borders ay isang aspeto ng modern international relations. Kilala rin ang konseptong ito sa customary international law bilang territorial integrity, kung saan bawat estado ay may karapatang ipagtanggol ang kanilang nasasakupan at lahat ng kanilang teritoryo laban sa pag-atake ng ibang estado. Noong Martes, inulit ni Trump ang kanyang pagnanais na maangkin ang Greenland. Sinabi nito na ang Greenland ay mahalaga para sa pambansa at pang-ekonomiyang seguridad ng Estados Unidos.
Nakalaya na po ang Italian journalist na si Cecilia Sala matapos ang halos 1 taon at 1 buwan na pagkakakulong sa Iran. Dinakip si Sala noong December 19, 2023 habang ito ay nagtatrabaho sa Iran gamit ang isang regular visa para maging periodista sa naturang bansa. Ang pagkakaaresto sa kanya ay naghudyat para tumugon ang Ministry of Foreign Affairs ng Italy sa pamamagitan ng pagtawag sa Iranian ambassador nito sa Italy. Hindi pa malinaw kung anong partikular na paglabag ang ginawa ni Sala. May mga ulat na ang kanyang pagkaaresto ay maaaring may kaugnayan sa kanyang kamakailang podcast episode na tumatalakay sa issue ng kaganapang politikal sa Iran.
Sono tornata in Iran, il posto dove più volevo tornare. Dall'ultima volta che sono stata qui sono cambiate molte cose. Una è che centinaia di migliaia di donne non indossano più il velo, non lo indossano più come la legge dice che andrebbe indossato e non hanno paura che una straniera come me le fotografi o che le telecamere intelligenti di fabbricazione cinese sparse per la città scannerizzino i loro volti e inviino una segnalazione alla polizia. La seconda cosa è che Teheran è stata bombardata per la prima volta nella sua storia dai jet israeliani il 26 ottobre, che hanno distrutto le difese aeree attorno alla capitale, e il primo ministro israeliano Netanyahu continua a pubblicare dei video, l'ultimo è di pochi giorni fa, in cui si rivolge direttamente alla popolazione iraniana e dice che la Repubblica Islamica durerà meno di quanto molti non pensino. La terza è che c'è un presidente riformista in questo paese, il primo riformista in 20 anni, si chiama Masoud Pezeshkian ed è contrario all'inasprimento delle punizioni per le donne che non indossano il velo o lo indossano male, che si è discusso in questo paese negli ultimi mesi.
Ayon naman sa spekulasyon ng iba, siya ay naaresto matapos kunin ng mga otoridad ng Estados Unidos ang isang Iranian na pinaghihinalaang nagpapasa ng impormasyon tungkol sa drone technology mula sa Italy. Humihiling ng agarang pagpapalaya ang embahada kay Sala at binigyan diin ng pangangailangan na makatwirang pagtrato at paggalang sa karapang pantao nito. Hiniling ng Ministry of Foreign Affairs ng Italy na payagan ang mga kawani ng embahada sa Tehran na bisitahin si Sala at dalhin sa kanya ang mga bagay na magbibigay ginhawa na tila hindi niya umano natamo simula nang ito ay makulong doon. Sa kanyang paglaya ay sinalubong siya ng kanyang mga magulang at ni Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni.
Na hindi isang newly discovered virus ang human metapneumovirus o HMPV ay pinaghahandaan na ng 9 na bansa sa Africa ang pagkalat nito sa kanilang lugar. Naglabas ng precautionary measures ang mga health experts sa Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, Egypt, Uganda, Zimbabwe, Morocco, Botswana at Namibia laban sa HMPV. At kinumpirma nila na wala pang individual na nagpositibo sa HMPV sa kanilang mga bansa. Gayunpaman, mahigpit na minomonitor ng mga health experts sa Africa ang pagpasok ng HMPV. At tinitiyak nila na may sapat na kapasidad ang kanilang mga ospital. Marami ang nangangamba sa pagkalat ng HMPV dahil wala pang nadidiscovering vaccine para rito. Kaya payo ng mga doktor, panatilihing malinis ang pangangatawan, laging maghugas ng mga kamay at magsuot ng face mask ang mga may sakit nang sa gayon ay maiwasan na magkaroon ng HMPV outbreak.
Ayon sa isang migration expert, tataas ang bilang ng mga migranteng lilikas mula sa Venezuela. Ito po ay dahil anila sa pagsisimula ng ikatong termino ni Pangulong Nicolas Maduro doon. Chantal Santos po para sa balitang yan.
Sa kasalukuyan, sumasabak ang Venezuelan migrants sa Colombia sa malalang kondisyon ng pamumuhay. Ito ay sa kagustuhan nilang makatakas sa kanilang bansang Venezuela na ngayon ay nasa ilalim pa rin ng pangungulo ni Nicolas Maduro. Nagbabala si migration expert Donna Cabrera na professor din sa Javeriana University ukol sa pagkakahalal muli ni Maduro. Anya, magiging posibleng dahilan nito ng isa na namang alon ng paglikas.
El escenario que tenemos ahora es que luego de las fiestas navideñas y de inicio de año y luego de la posesión posicionamiento de Maduro de nuevo en Venezuela, las personas van a salir de nuevo del territorio buscando oportunidades en otros países. Y salen del territorio en un momento donde Estados Unidos ha tomado una postura mucho más restrictiva frente al ingreso de migrantes en condición irregular.
Ang bansang Colombia ang nagsisilbing pansamantalang tigilan ng refugees at migrants mula sa Venezuela. At ayon sa Danish Council for Refugees, sa 2.9 million na mga ito, 450,000 ay may irregular migration status. Naghihirap na rin ang Colombia sa pagsuporta sa mga migrante at refugees. Sa kabila nito, para sa mga nawawalan na ng pag-asang makarating sa US, ang manatili sa Colombia ang natitirang sagot sa kanilang sitwasyon.
Ha sabido muchas cosas que ha pasado en Estados Unidos, que, o sea, violencia, violaciones, devuelven, han muerto mucha gente por la selva. Sí me entiende, ya sabía muchas cosas en eso. Y es mejor estar bien con mis hijos aquí que estar en otro lado, que yo no conozca.
Chantal Santos para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Hindi napigilan ni President Claudia Sheinbaum ng Mexico na magsalita laban kay US President-elect Donald Trump. Tinawag niyang Mexican-American North America na kinabibilangan ng Estados Unidos. Bakit kaya? Alamin natin ang mga detalye mula kay Anjo Milano.
Bilang tugon sa pahayag ni President-elect Donald Trump na papalitan nito ng pangalan ng Gulf of Mexico ng Gulf of America, bumanat pabalik si Pangulong Claudia Sheinbaum ng Mexico. Anya, tawagin kaya nating Mexican-America ang Hilagang Amerika? Ito ang dating tawag sa rehiyon sa sinaunang mapa.
Reconocido el nombre por Naciones Unidas, un organismo de Naciones Unidas, pero el siguiente, ¿por qué no le llamamos América Mexicana? Se oye bonito, ¿no? ¿Verdad que sí? Desde 1607, la Constitución de Apatzingán era de América Mexicana. Vamos a llamarle América Mexicana. Y Golfo de México, pues, desde 1607 y además está reconocido internacionalmente.
Napapaligiran ng mapa si Sheinbaum habang nagbibigay ng tila leksyon sa kasaysayan. Noong Martes kasi, may sinabi si Trump ukol sa pagpapalit ng pangalan ng katubigan mula Florida hanggang Cancun. Sa isang press conference, naglathala si Trump ng isang tinatawag na expansionist agenda. Kasama rito ang posibilidad anya na kontrolin ng US ang Panama Canal pati na ang Greenland.
Por eso comenté que con el respeto debido siempre, pues a lo mejor ayer tuvo una mala información y piensa que todavía gobierna Felipe Calderón y García Luna. En México gobierna el pueblo, porque la presidenta fue elegida por el pueblo de México. Y estamos atendiendo el problema.
Samantala, pinabulaanan din ni Sheinbaum ang pahayag ni Trump na pinatatakbo ng mga kartel ang Mexico. Ani Sheinbaum, sa Mexico, ang mga mamamayan ang namumuno. Sa kabila ng balikan ng mga kritisismo, sinabi ni Sheinbaum na inaasahan niya ang isang positibong relasyon sa pagitan ng Mexico at Estados Unidos. Anjo Milano para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Magsasagawa ng virtual meeting si US President Joe Biden sa mga lider ng Japan at ng Pilipinas. Ayon sa White House, isasagawa ang pulong nito pagbisita niya sa Roma. Ilan sa mga tatalakayin nila ay ang maritime cooperative activity na US, Japan at ng Pilipinas. Magugunita pong noong December ay nagsagawa ng maritime exercises ang Estados Unidos, Japan at Pilipinas sa exclusive economic zone ng bansa sa West Philippine Sea.
Guilty! Yan ang hinatol ng Court of Justice ng Estados Unidos kay Takeshi Ebisawa ngayong araw. Si Ebisawa na ulo ng isang Japanese crime syndicate o Yakuza ay guilty para sa pakikipagkuntsabahan sa mga smuggler upang illegal na maipasok ang iba't ibang nuclear materials katulad ng uranium at plutonium galing Myanmar papasok sa Estados Unidos. Kasalukuyang nahaharap si Ebisawa sa samut-saring kaso ng international narcotics and weapons trafficking. Umami na ito para sa narcotics charges sa iilang pagdinig dati, ngunit ngayon lang niya inako ang kanyang pagkakasangkot sa naturang weapons smuggling. Ayon sa New York Attorney General, ilang daang kilo ng weapons-grade radioactive material ang kanyang naipasok sa bansa, kasama na rin ang droga na heroin at iba pang ipinagbabawal na gamot ang naipasok ni Ebisawa mula sa Burma gamit ang mga barko na nanggagaling ng Indonesia, Thailand, Japan at Pilipinas. Parte lang si Ebisawa sa mga Yakuza boss na nakikipag-ugnayan sa iba't ibang criminal networks na pumapasok sa naturang missiles for drug schemes na isa namang iniimbestigahan ng international community.
Nagbabala na po ang Estados Unidos na nakikinabang ng malaki ang North Korea dahil ang puwersa militar ay nakikipaglaban kasama ng Russia sa Ukraine. Alamin po natin ang mga detalye ng balita mula kay Asi Sakmar.
Dahil sa karanasan na iniipon ng mga sundalo ng Pyongyang na tumutulong sa Moscow laban sa Kiev, nagbabala ang Estados Unidos na nakikinabang ang North Korea at natututong sumabak ito sa gyera laban sa mga kalapit bansa. Matatandaang pinahigpit ng Russia ang diplomatic at military ties nito sa North Korea mula nang pasukin nito ang Ukraine noong Pebrero 2022. Sinabi ni Deputy U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Dorothy Camille Shea, na higit sa 12,000 North Korean troops ang nasa Russia. At noong isang buwan, nagsimulang makipaglaban ang mga ito sa puwersang Ukraine sa rehiyon ng Kursk sa Russia.
The DPRK is significantly benefiting from receiving Russian military equipment, technology, and experience, rendering it more capable of waging war against its neighbors. In turn, the DPRK will likely be eager to leverage these improvements to promote weapons sales and military training contracts globally. Mr. President, while we condemn the DPRK's actions, the United States remains committed to a diplomatic resolution to the challenges posed by the DPRK's unlawful WMD ballistic missile programs.
Samantala, pinagtanggol naman ni North Korean UN Ambassador Kim Song ang missile test nito noong Lunes bilang bahagi ng planong paghusayin ang kakayahang dumipensa ng bansa. Inakusahan ni Kim ang Estados Unidos ng pagkakaroon ng double standards.
Even today, when the civilian death toll exceeded 45,000 in Gaza, United States embellished Israel's nefarious mass killing atrocity as the right to self-defense, arousing public indignation of the international community. Meanwhile, it takes the issue with legitimate exercise of the right to self-defense of the DPRK.
Binigyang diin naman ni Russian UN Ambassador Vasily Nebenzia ang matagal ng akusasyon nito na tinutuyan ng US, South Korea at Japan ang North Korea gamit ang military exercises. Itinanggi rin nito ang alegasyon ng US na layon ng Russia na ipagamit ang satellite at space technology nito sa Pyongyang.
Заявление уходящего госсекретаря США о передаче КНДР российских спутниковых космических технологий, сделанные им в ходе визита в Сеул 6 января, и повторенные сегодня рядом делегаций, не имеют под собой никаких оснований. Они являются очередным бездоказательным домыслом, нацеленным на очернение двустороннего взаимодействия России и дружественной нам КНДР.
Sa kabilang banda, sinabi ni South Korean UN Ambassador Jungkook Hwang sa konseho na mga alipin ni Kim Jong-un at walang sariling pag-iisip ang mga sundalo ng North Korea.
These soldiers are essentially slaves to Kim Jong-un, brainwashed to sacrifice their lives on faraway battlefields to raise money for his regime and secure advanced military technology from Russia.
Simula noong 2006, sumailalim na sa sanctions ng US ang North Korea. Lalong humigpit ang mga ito sa paglipas ng mga taon upang pigilan ang pagsulong ng sandatang militar at ballistic missiles ng Pyongyang. Ashley Sakmar para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Susunod, wildfire sa California umabot na rin sa Hollywood Hills.
Apple bumuelta ukol sa mga akusasyon kay Siri.
At Honda inilabas na ang kanilang unang EV. Yan at iba pang mga balita sa pagbabalik ng Mata ng Agila International.
Excited ka na bang malaman kung ikaw ang nanalo ng mga exciting prizes na ito sa ating NET25 Selfie with the Agila promo? Abangan ang nalalapit na announcement ng winners sa Love, Tony Pet, and Everything. Kada umaga, ESPN, sa ganang mamamayan at mata ng Agila Primetime. Kaya naman tumutok lang dito sa NET25.
What if everyone had equal opportunities, regardless of race, gender, or disabilities? Inclusion is a human right. We ask, why is exclusion a thing? And what does normal mean?
Global Us.
Nagbabalik po ang mata ng Agila International at sa pagpapatuloy ng ating mga balita ngayong gabi. Sa Southern California, higit sa 100 katao ang inilikas dahil sa 3 sunod-sunod na wildfires doon. Sinabi ng mga otoridad na 5 individual na ang namatay habang marami ang nasaktan dahil sa hindi mapigilang apoy. Alamin natin ang mga detalye mula kay NET25 Los Angeles correspondent Eva Basalyahe.
That is correct. 3 wildfires are simultaneously burning Southern California neighborhoods. The trio have killed at least 5, injured so many others, destroyed over 1,000 structures, and forced evacuated tens of thousands of residents. The Palisades, Eaton, and Hearst fires have forced over 100,000 residents out of their homes, leaving almost everything they own to save nothing else but their own lives. Our NET25 team here in Los Angeles reached out to some of those we know have been affected by this out-of-control tragedy. Many without words sent us images of what they are leaving behind. Video recordings and photos of homes, streets, and the flames threatening without hesitation their very lives. One says the wife of a friend being evacuated from a facility suffered a heart attack amid the chaos. She died today. Some offer their homes to those who lost theirs. Others, in desperate hope, try to water their neighbors' roofs and yards. The wildfires have been burning for days now. The lack of water supply is a serious problem in firefighting operations. City and fire officials are calling on residents to conserve water as much as they can to help ease the burden of firefighters.
We had a tremendous demand on our system in the Palisades. We pushed the system to the extreme. 4 times the normal demand was seen for 15 hours straight, which lowered our water pressure. If there's a message you take away from me today, is I need our customers to really conserve water, not just in the Palisade area, but the whole system, because the fire department needs the water to fight the fires, and we're fighting a wildfire with urban water systems, and that is really challenging.
President Joe Biden describes the tragedy as devastating and assures Southern California residents that the rest of the country are with them. Meanwhile, counties here scout to set up evacuation centers for the tens of thousands of residents now without shelter. Eva Basalyahe from Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Posible raw magkaroon ng fire season sa California na maaaring tumagal ng 1 taon. Ayon yan mismo sa mga eksperto. Ang itinuturo nilang dahilan, climate change. Kaya huwag na raw magulat ang mga residente roon. Si Cherry Recolizado para sa report.
Dahil sa climate change, nagiging pangkaraniwan na ang panunuyo ng mga kagubatan. Dahil dito, humaharap ang California sa mas mahabang panahon ng wildfires. Ayon kay Lyndon Pronto na dating wildland firefighter, sa kabila ng nakabibiglang trahedyang ito, ang mga sunog ngayon sa California ay isa ng pambuong taong banta.
I would say it is somewhat surprising to have, such a devastating event in January. I think it's no surprise that we basically have a year-round fire season in California. However, such a destruction on this scale is not often seen in the month of January.
Dagdag ni Pronto, ang bilang ngayon ng mga araw kung kailan mas mahina ang mga lupain sa sunog ay nadoble na mula noong 1980s sa California. Ito ay sa gitna ng painit na panahon na dala ay tuyong taglamig at mas tuyong tag-init.
Of course, there are these kind of variances I mentioned, maybe a bigger grass crop because of a wetter year. On the other hand, you also have compounding drought conditions, which has been increasingly a factor across the state of California over the last few decades. Warmer or drier winters, and followed by hotter and drier summers. And eventually you have a compounding effect where you do see, much more extreme fire behavior at different times of the year that you wouldn't have, whether it's in December or January.
Ang mga sunog na umaapoy ngayon sa California ay nagsimula sa gitna ng malalakas na ihip ng hangin, mababang antas ng kahalumigmigan o humidity na tumutuyo ng mga kahalamanan. Ito ang napakamapanganib na gasolina para sa sunog.
One of the really dangerous effects of the Santa Ana winds is this drying effect, and it dries the vegetation out. The vegetation becomes the most dry at any point during the year during a Santa Ana wind event, and the the moisture content within the fuel, and fuel meaning the vegetation, the moisture content, which is expressed in a percent, goes down to single digits, and so this means that the fuel itself becomes extremely available for fire, and can catch and carry fire very quickly.
Isa sa mga suliraning lalong nagpahirap sa pagpatay ng mga sunog ay ang kawalan ng tubig na gagamitin ng mga bumbero dahil sa mga natuyo ng pinanggagalingan nito. Cherry Recolisado para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Naglabas po ng mga bagong babala ang Met Office dahil mababalot ng yelo ang United Kingdom mula Huwebes ng hapon hanggang Biyernes ng umaga. Ilang train services ang pansamantalang isususpindi dahil sa heavy snowfall. Pinag-iingat din ng mga otoridad ng mga taong nasa labas ng bahay dahil magkakaroon umano ng mga road diversions. Marami kasi anilang kalsada roon ang hindi madaanan dahil natabunan na ng makapal na niebe.
Isang masalimuot na gabi ang sumalubong sa halos 2,500 Indians matapos magkaroon ng stampede sa Tirupati area na ikinasawi ng 6 na katao at nasaktan naman ang 35 iba pa. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, pinagkaguluhan kasi ng mga tao sa lugar ang ipinamahaging passes para sa isang free visit sa lugar. Humingi naman ang paumanhin ng operator sa lugar dahil sa naganap na insidente. Nagpaabot din ng pakikiramay si Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi sa pamilya ng mga biktima. Ang Tirupati kasi ang isa sa pinaka-busy at mataong lugar sa India, pero sa ngayon iniimbestigahan na ng mga otoridad kung bakit nagkaroon talaga ng stampede at kung may pagkukulang sa crowd control.
Good news naman po dahil masayang nakauwi sa kanyang mga mahal sa buhay ang isang hiker sa Australia matapos itong maligaw ng halos 13 araw sa kabundukan. Ayon sa New South Wales Fire Service, kinilala ang hiker na si Hadi Nazari. Noong December 26 pa nang huli siyang nakita ng kanyang mga kaibigan na tutungo sa Kosciuszko National Park. Nagpadala naman ng higit sa 300 rescue personnel ang mga otoridad ng New South Wales para hanapin si Nazari. Subalit sa kabutihang palad, ay natagpuan na rin si Nazari ng isang grupo ng mga hikers noong January 8. Kinumpirma naman ng pamilya ni Nazari na na-recover na ito mula sa 2 linggong pagtitiis.
Inilabas ng Dell ang bago nitong AI-powered personal computer portfolio sa Consumer Electronics Show. Nahahati na ngayon sa Dell PC, Dell Pro at Dell Pro Max ang mga produkto ng tech giant. Bawat isang kategorya ay may kanya-kanyang gamit gaya ng Dell PC for everyday tasks, Dell Pro for business at Dell Max for demanding apps. Ayon sa tech giant, hinati nila sa 3 kategorya ang kanilang mga produkto bilang pagsunod sa isang consumer survey noong April 2024 kung saan sinabi ng mga respondents na hindi nila binibili ang isang produkto dahil minsan ay nakakalito kung aling gadget ang dapat bilhin. Overwhelming din nila ang mamili ng isang laptop. Sa pamamagitan ng pag-simplify sa Dell products ay matutulungan ng tech giant ang mga mamimili nito kung aling gadget ang dapat bilhin.
Sa Estados Unidos po, isang investment strategist ang nagpahayag na ang power of the consumer sa US ang magpapalakas sa bansa sa taong 2025. Bernadette Traguini para sa karagdagang detalye.
Senior Investment Strategy Director at U.S. Bank Asset Management Group, Rob Hayworth, says U.S. consumer resiliency should continue into 2025. This because of a low unemployment rate and robust wage gains in the country.
The consumer remains a central point for us as we think about our strategy going forward. And in particular, when we think about 2024, the consumer was the heart of strong economic growth in 2024. We think that remains the case in 2025. We've seen them really ramp credit card debt into this year to high levels, but not high when you think about the amount of income they have. We've seen very solid income growth.
Hayworth notes, however, that American consumers have ramped up credit card debt to high levels. But compared to the amount of income they have, Hayworth says those levels are not actually high. He says the key to keeping the consumer strong is a robust labor market. Bernadette Regini for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Sinabi ng Apple na hindi nito kailanman ibinenta at hindi nito ibebenta ang mga datos na nakolekta ng voice assistant nito na Siri. Hindi rin nila ginagamit ng Apple ang voice recordings ng Siri upang gumawa ng marketing profiles. Inilabas ng Apple ang mga pahayag na ito matapos itong magbayad ng $95 million para tapusin ang isang class suit laban sa kumpanya. Ayon sa mga plaintiffs, nire-record ng Siri ang mga private conversations nito at ibinibigay sa mga third parties gaya ng mga advertisers. Depensa naman ng Apple, ang mga voice recordings ay ginamit ng tech giant para i-improve pa ang voice assistant na Siri.
Inilabas ng Honda ang kanilang bagong Zero Series sa Customer Electronics Show 2025. Ang Zero Series ng Honda ang unang pagtatangka ng Hondang pasukin ang electric vehicle market. Ang Zero Series Saloon at Zero Series SUV ang tinitingnang fully electric model ng Honda simula ng kanilang merger ng Honda, Nissan at Suzuki. Gamit ang design philosophy na thin, light, and wise, ay inilabas ang dalawang models na may intensyong magkaroon ng mababang carbon footprint upang makatulong sa kalikasan. Tinitingnan din ng Japanese car manufacturer na isama sa mga ilalabas nila modelo ang Asimo OS na isa namang callback sa unang humanoid robot na ginawa ng Honda Robotics team. Nakatakda itong pumasok sa pandaigdigang merkado sa susunod na taon. Kahit hindi pa opisyal na inilalabas ang Nintendo Switch 2 ay maraming mga detalye na kumalat na sa internet hinggil sa itsura nito. Naglabas kasi ng 3D printed mock-up design ng Nintendo Switch 2 ang accessories maker na Genki. Batay sa itsura ng model nito ay mas malawak ang screen ng console kumpara sa original na bersyon ng console. Ayon sa mga analysts, maaaring maikumpara ito sa Steam Deck OLED mula sa kaparehong ergonomic grips na mock design. Sa kabila nito, may mga detalyeng kumakalat na posibleng maglagay ng magnets sa mga Joy-Cons ng Switch 2 kaysa sa sliding rail. May mga nagsasabi ring maaaring gumamit ng panibagong hardware ang Switch 2. Inaasahan namang ilalabas ng Nintendo ang panibago nitong console bago ang April 2025.
Kumpirmadong napunit ang anterior cruciate ligament o nagkaroon ng ACL tear si Gilas Pilipinas star player Kai Soto. Natamo nito ang nasabing injury sa pagkatalo ng kanyang koponan na Koshigaya Alpha sa Seahorses Mikawa ng Japan B-League nitong linggo. Lumipad patungo sa Tokyo ang 7'3" Gilas center para sumailalim sa MRI ng kanyang kaliwang tuhod. Sinabi ng 22 anyos na dating Ateneo High School star na ito ang maituturing na pinakamababang bahagi ng kanyang basketball career. Mayroon itong average na 13.8 points sa 52% shooting, 9.6 rebounds, 2 assists at 1 block mula sa unang taon nito sa Koshigaya. Dahil rito, hindi ito makapaglalaro ng hanggang 6 na buwan at hindi makakasama na rin sa February window ng 2025 FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers kung saan makakaharap ng Gilas ang Chinese Taipei at New Zealand. Susunod, snow tourism sa Boston Lake ng China patuloy na lumalago.
Sabay-sabay nating silipin kung ano itong 5G cloud clinic sa China.
At abangan ang iba pang mga storya pagdating ni Alma Angeles at ng Mata ng Agila World News. At magbabalik pa rin po ang Mata ng Agila International.
Si Trina from Kikay's Elite and nandito kami sa Sampaloc ngayon on our way to Caliraya. So today kasama ko yung mga Kikays. Magra-ride kami using our Vespa. So samahan nyo kami.
This is Motorcycle Republic tuwing Sabado 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Let's net together sa NET25 sa NET25.
Itinatampok ng Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region ang kanilang snow tourism mula sa ice and snow sports at mga pagkaing may sangkap na isda na nahuli sa Boston Lake. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, mayroong halos nasa 50 cultural tourism activities na pwedeng gawin sa Boston Lake. Ilan sa mga ito ang winter fishing, camel riding at iba pa. Ang Boston Lake sa wikang Uyghur ay ibig sabihin ay oasis at ito ang pinakamalaking inland freshwater lake ng China. Mayroon itong area na higit sa 1,600 square kilometers kung saan ay kilala ito bilang Western Sea ng sinaunang China.
Nagsisilbing tulay para maisulong ang rural health care sa mga remote villages sa China ang mga 5G health clinics para mag-abot po ng medical services 24/7. Sa tulong ng mga mobile health clinics na ito ay natutulungan ito ang Zhongpai Village Clinic sa timog kanlurang bahagi ng Quizhou. Meron ng 100 pasyente rito na may dinaraing na chronic illnesses. At dahil po karamihan sa mga kabataan sa bayang ito ay nagtatrabaho, naiiwan umano ang mga matatanda at mga bata nagkakasakit. Dito na nagiging kapaki-pakinabang ang 5G health clinics. Mas napapadali kasi ang mga gampanin ng mga doktor sa mga rural clinics para maasikaso ang mga pasyenteng naiiwan sa bahay. Halimbawa na rito ang artificial intelligence-driven na database ng mga doktor. Ilang click lamang ay naipapasok na ang mga kailangang impormasyon ng doktor patungkol sa kanilang mga pasyente.
Natrap ang isang aso pati ang 2 amo nito sa kanilang bahay dahil sa wildfire sa Los Angeles, California. Dahil napaliligiran sila ng apoy ay walang nagawa ang tatlo kundi antayin ang mga bombero na iligtas sila. Samantala, isa namang emosyonal na reunion ang nangyari dahil pagkatapos masunog ng buong bahay ng isang lalaki ay akala niya'y wala nang natira pa sa kanya. Maya-maya pa ay nilapitan siya ng mga bombero at inabot sa kanyang pusa. Hindi napigilan ng lalaki na maiyak nang makita ang kanyang alagang hayop. Nagpasalamat ang mga biktima ng sunog sa mga bomberong tumulong sa kanila. Our prayers go out to everyone living in that close vicinity sa Los Angeles, California.
Tsaka wala talagang pili-pili, Nina, no? Pag force of nature, ika nga, di ba? Dami nga celebrities doon, mga bilyonaryo, di ba? Talagang naging biktima din ng wildfires na iyan. At actually, dami natin nakikita, I'm sure, sa inyong mga feed po sa inyong social media. May mga kakilala tayo. Kaya naman talagang ipanalangin natin ang kanilang kaligtasan doon.
At nakita mo nga, di ba, ibinalita kanina na climate change na naman ang itinuturong dahilan kung bakit nagkakaganito. And people in that area are likely to expect it daw to be a seasonal thing. Ibig sabihin,
baka
around this time next year
diba?
na naman, ganyan na naman ang mangyayari. Kaya wag po nating ipikit ang ating mga mata. Mulat po natin ang ating mga mata sa katotohanan na kailangan na po nating umaksyon, di ba, against climate change. Ayun.
Every little act really counts.
Totoo yan. Individual, talaga yan.
Yan, ako. Tingnan natin naman ang iba pang bit-bit na balita mula sa iba pang panig ng mundo ng ating kasamang si Ms. Alma Angeles. Sumalit tandaan po mula Lunes hanggang Biyernes. Narito kami ni Nina para maghatid ng balita sa amang dako ng mundo. Stay safe everyone. Ako po muli si Ricky Mathay.
Ako si Nina Richie Alagaw Flores. Ito po ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman sa iba pang mga balitang nangyari rin sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, punta po tayo kay Alma Angeles para sa mata ng Agila World News. Take it away, Alma.
Thank you, Nina Enrique. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for NET25 World News. On tonight's headlines. Tonight, Southern California is under siege by a series of raging wildfires.
It's kind of sad, I mean, everybody's lost. Not just this community. The community next door, I'm sure all the people up there have lost everything.
It's come from my family home where my mother lives. That was burned to a crisp, so that was the initial shock value. And then I came up to my home and same thing, it's completely dust. I just haven't seen anything quite like this. The imagery of this is next level, it's shocking.
We'll have the latest on the devastation. And the news starts now. Chinese authorities have ended their search for survivors of the powerful earthquake in Tibet, shifting their focus instead to aiding the displaced and treating the injured. Take a look.
Chinese officials ended the search for survivors of Tibet's 6.8 magnitude earthquake on Wednesday, one day after the tremor. They say they're shifting focus to relocating the displaced and treating the injured after pulling a reported 407 people from the rubble. Authorities say they have moved more than 45,000 people to shelters. The odds of survival were always slim in the high-altitude epicenter at the foot of the Himalayas. Those trapped under the rubble are likely to have succumbed to hypothermia, with temperatures dropping to as low as 0 degrees Fahrenheit at night. Tuesday evening's state media death tally of 126 people has remained unchanged as of Thursday. Authorities have yet to say how many people remain missing. The State Council Information Office, which handles media requests for the central government, did not respond to a Reuters request for comment. Foreign journalists need official permission to enter Tibet.
Southern California is under siege from a trio of raging wildfires. At least 5 people are dead. Thousands have been forced to flee their homes, and hundreds of structures have been destroyed. Alan Basalyahe reports.
Three wildfires are devouring Southern California communities: the Palisades, Eaton, and Hearst fires. Over 100,000 people have been force evacuated as powerful winds fuel the deadly blazes. At least 5 people have been reported killed and many more have been injured. Hundreds of structures have been destroyed. Hillsides are scorched. The Eden fire has grown to more than 2,000 acres, burning some 30 miles inland in Altadena, near Pasadena. Meanwhile, the biggest of the 3 blazes had consumed more than 5,000 acres in the picturesque Pacific Palisades neighborhood. The Palisades lies east of Los Angeles between the beach towns of Santa Monica and Malibu. It is home to many film, television, and music stars. NET25 Los Angeles Bureau reached out to affected residents. Many have left their homes in a hurry as the fires, fanned by strong winds, burned through residential areas. Some who are still miles away from danger had the chance to film the tragedy unfolding before their eyes. They record images of neighborhoods, their homes, in what they fear might be the last time to see them standing. We spoke to a man who says a wife of a friend was being evacuated from a facility. Amid the chaos, she had a heart attack and died. Meanwhile, volunteers in this neighborhood help water the surroundings, desperately hoping it could help. But for residents whose homes have turned to ashes, no words can capture their devastation.
Through a war zone right now, and I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless. I'm shocked. I'm just so sad for our devastated community. We lost 600 homes in the Woosley fire, one of which was mine, and now I don't even know how we're going to be able to recover from this.
At the moment, fierce winds fueling the blazes hinder firefighting operations. Lack of water adds to the challenge. Fire officials are asking residents to conserve water to help save others.
We had a tremendous demand on our system in the Palisades. We pushed the system to the extreme. 4 times the normal demand was seen for 15 hours straight, which lowered our water pressure. If there's a message you take away from me today, is I need our customers to really conserve water, not just in the Palisade area, but the whole system, because the fire department needs the water to fight the fires, and we're fighting a wildfire with urban water systems, and that is really challenging.
The wildfires have burned unimpeded since they began on Tuesday. President Joe Biden on X says it's devastating and that the country is with the residents of Southern California. Alan Basoyahe for NET25 World News.
Raging wildfires surrounding Los Angeles spread into the Hollywood Hills after 5 other fires in the area left at least several dead, destroyed hundreds of homes, and stretched firefighting. The so-called Sunset Fire in the Hollywood Hills doubled in size within minutes, reaching 20 acres, according to CAL FIRE. The Los Angeles Fire Department issued evacuation orders covering Hollywood Boulevard to the south, Mulholland Drive to the north, the 101 freeway to the east, and the Laurel Canyon Boulevard to the west. Iconic locations in the entertainment industry. And within this area is the Dolby Theater, where the Oscars are held. Organizers confirmed next week's Oscar nominations announcement was postponed by 2 days due to the fire. Although relatively small compared to other ongoing fires, the Sunset Fire burned just above Hollywood Boulevard and the Walk of Fame. It would need to cross the 101 freeway to threaten the Hollywood sign and Griffith Observatory. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass described the situation as catastrophic. Mayor Bass also confirmed that President Biden and California Governor Gavin Newsom pledged full federal and state support for relief efforts.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This firestorm is the big one in magnitude. Hurricane-force winds are usually accompanied by rainstorms, but these are hurricane-force winds that are combined with extremely dry drought conditions. To provide context, at 10:20 a.m. yesterday, the Palisades fire was at 10 acres. 12 minutes later, it was at 200 acres. I know the world is looking at images of our city's devastation. I have seen the front lines of the Palisades fire, and it is staggering. Tonight, more people may get evacuation orders, and if they do, please leave immediately. I spoke with President Biden today and Governor Newsom earlier today, and they assured me of full federal and state support. As we head into tonight, we are still facing strong and erratic winds. In Palisades and in Sylmar, we are very much in an active firefight.
As we know, the Palisades fire continues to demand significant local, regional, state, and federal resources. Currently, the fire is over 15,800 acres and is growing, with 1,792 personnel who are currently assigned. And as we know, I want to be very, very clear that this incident is very, very dynamic as we speak. I just want to announce very, very quickly that we have a new brush fire that has just broken out within the last 5 minutes in the Hollywood Hills near Runyon Canyon. I don't have a lot of information. I can tell you we're throwing all of our available resources at it as we speak. I am seeing active water drops.
The fires have also impacted schools.
We've lost two schools. Two schools, elementary schools, providing educational services to over 700 students in the Palisades area, have been completely destroyed. We're talking about Marquez Elementary and Palisades Elementary. 30% of Palisades High Charter School was destroyed. We were on site and could not believe what we were witnessing.
Residents described the scene as terrifying.
There were houses to the back of us, to the side of us, and to the street below, and that's where the problem came. The wind whipped up, the flames were up about 30, 40 feet high, and you hear pop, 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 sound like a war zone. In fact, there were two big explosions that actually shook the ground. And so I knew it was time to get out. There's time to be, brave, and there's a time to use some common sense, and common sense told me it's time to go.
Well, it's kind of sad, everybody's lost, not just this community. The community next door, I'm sure all the people up there have lost everything. It's just pretty devastating. This is pretty devastating. I don't think LA's seen anything like this before, not even the earthquake.
President Biden visited a Santa Monica fire station for a briefing, pledging full federal support.
People have lost their lives. Residents have lost their lives at the Eaton fire. It's impacting tens of thousands of homes, not only in the city of Pasadena, but also the county area of Altadena.
U.S. President-elect Donald Trump also commented on the fires, calling the situation a true tragedy and criticizing California's conservation policies, claiming water shortages in fire hydrants worsened the crisis.
Yeah, so the firefighters they've been really, really good to us, and they're under-resourced here because they're sending a lot of their troops to the front line. But here they only have 2 engines for this whole neighborhood, and they're out of water. They ran out of water from the lines here.
Well, it's very sad because I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to come. You'd have tremendous water up there. They send it out to the Pacific because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish, which is in other areas, by the way, called the smelt. And for the sake of the smelt, they have no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants today in Los Angeles. It was a terrible thing. And we're going to get that done. It's going to finally be done. I got it done from the federal side, and he didn't want to sign it, but it's not going to happen again like that. It's a mistake of the governor, and you could say the administration. They don't have any water. They didn't have water in the fire hydrants. They don't have water. And yet they have it. The water comes from, you know where? Up north. And it comes down at levels. They get millions and millions of barrels of gallons of water that they have, and they send it out into the Pacific. For the Pacific, it's like a drop. It's nothing. But for California, it would take care of the whole state. So what's happened is a tragedy, and the governor has not done a good job. With that being said, I got along well with him. When he was governor, we worked together very well, and we would work together. I guess it looks like we're going to be the one having to rebuild it.
The National Weather Service warned that high winds and dry conditions could continue to fuel the fires.
Well, the first thing is it's January, and we've not had any rain in Los Angeles. Officially 0.16 inches in downtown Los Angeles. It's the second driest spell going all the way back to last May as far as precip goes. So normally by this time, it only takes about 2 to 3 inches of rain for us to consider it's low fire season, and we just haven't had that yet. You can't point at one event and say, this was the one that was climate change, but certain patterns do emerge over time, and some of the things that we've talked about are extended heat waves or extended droughts, and the fact that we've seen literally essentially no rain here so far this winter could be an indication of that.
I would say it is somewhat surprising to have, such a devastating event in January. I think it's no surprise that we basically have a year-round fire season in California. However, such a destruction on this scale is not often seen in the month of January. The obvious impact of climate change in this situation is that the average number of days per year where the vegetation is very available for fire has doubled since the 80s. So the fire season has been growing longer and longer in California. And of course, there are these kind of variances I mentioned, maybe a bigger grass crop because of a wetter year. On the other hand, you also have compounding drought conditions, which has been increasingly a factor across the state of California over the last few decades. Warmer or drier winters, and followed by hotter and drier summers. And eventually you have a compounding effect where you do see, much more extreme fire behavior at different times of the year that you wouldn't have, whether it's in December or January. One of the really dangerous effects of the Santa Ana winds is this drying effect, and it dries the vegetation out. The vegetation becomes the most dry at any point during the year during a Santa Ana wind event, and the the moisture content within the fuel, and fuel meaning the vegetation, the moisture content, which is expressed in a percent, goes down to single digits. And so this means that the fuel itself becomes extremely available for fire, and can catch and carry fire very quickly.
Japan is bracing for a significant winter storm with heavy snowfall expected across wider areas of the country, particularly along the Sea of Japan coast. The meteorological agency reports that a winter pressure pattern and a strong cold air mass have brought heavy snow to mountainous regions along the Sea of Japan coast. In the past 24 hours, Shirakawa Village in Gifu Prefecture saw 53 centimeters of snow, while Nishiyazu Town in Fukushima Prefecture and Suman District in Uwanoma City, Niigata Prefecture, recorded 48 and 47 centimeters, respectively. The agency forecasts heavy snowfall, including in lowland areas, through Friday across northern to western Japan. Meanwhile, South Korea is shivering today as a severe cold wave brings the coldest temperatures of the season. The capital Seoul woke up to frigid conditions with wind chill temperatures plunging below minus 15 degrees Celsius. Some regions, like Goiseng and Muju counties, experience even more extreme lows. Freezing temperatures are expected to persist throughout the day, with Seoul's high temperature predicted to barely reach minus 8 degrees Celsius. To make matters worse, heavy snowfall is forecast for Chungcheongnam-do and Jeollado provinces, with accumulations of up to 20 centimeters expected. A snow advisory is in effect for those regions. This extreme cold snap is expected to continue into tomorrow, with even colder temperatures predicted. Across the U.S. are still dealing with the aftermath of this brutal cold snap. From Texas to Tennessee, a winter storm is brewing, bringing the threat of freezing rain and snow. Meanwhile, some areas are still recovering from the initial Arctic blast. Schools in Little Rock, Arkansas are closed today and tomorrow as they brace for heavy snow. And life hasn't quite returned to normal in places like Kansas City, where schools are closed for a third day, and Richmond, Virginia, which is still under a boil water advisory. The investigation into the recent Tesla Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas have taken a chilling turn. Investigators have discovered the driver, Matthew Livelsberger, appears to have used artificial intelligence, specifically ChatGPT, to plan the attack. This is a troubling case involving the use of artificial intelligence in a deadly attack. Investigators from Las Vegas Police Department have uncovered disturbing details surrounding the explosion of the Tesla Cybertruck outside the Trump Hotel on January 1st. The blast, which led to the death of Matthew Livelsberger, was triggered by a self-inflicted gunshot wound before the explosion. Authorities have determined that Livelsberger had no intention of harming anyone else.
We also have clear evidence in this case now that the suspect used ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, to help plan his attack.
But he basically starts using ChatGPT, which is a generative AI, to be able to get information on how to conduct this particular plot. So ultimately, you'll see that he looks at trying to figure out the amount of explosives needed in order to conduct the explosion he was looking to cause. He also talks about, in the next set of questions, you'll see he's trying to figure out where to buy fireworks and how much of it to buy. He looks at the equivalence of those fireworks and how they compare to TNT and other types of explosive material. On this next set of questions, there's a focus on the velocity of the bullet fired from the firearm and determining whether that would ignite the explosives. This is an important component.
The investigation has revealed that Livelsberger made extensive use of ChatGPT to gather information about explosives and firearms. Authorities have yet to reveal the specific answers ChatGPT provided to his inquiries, but both the FBI and Pentagon have been alerted. There's growing concern that this incident could inspire others to use AI for malicious purposes.
We knew that AI was going to change the game at some point or another in really all of our lives. And certainly, I think this is the first incidents that I'm aware of on U.S. soil where ChatGPT is utilized to help an individual build a particular device, to learn information all across the country as they're moving forward. And so absolutely, it's a concerning moment for us, but it's also goes back to my last point that it's instructive to us, right? It's instructive to us across this great country of ours to share with other law enforcement.
OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, has issued a statement urging users to use AI responsibly. Authorities are also looking into Tesla's Cybertruck, especially its self-driving features, as there are concerns that AI in vehicles could potentially be manipulated to target civilians or sensitive military sites in the future.
There was some conversation about whether the vehicle is in self-driving mode. We've already addressed that in terms of the technical data that we collected, but also you can see that his hands are on the steering wheel as he's pulling up. That occurs. You're going to see frame by frame, you'll see an initial flash prior to the larger explosion.
Assistant Sheriff Dory Corrin also disclosed that Livelsberger's phone contained a 6-page manifesto, which is currently under review by the Pentagon due to its inclusion of classified military information.
Now, moving on to that 6-page manifesto that the sheriff talked about. This document was found as part of the digital forensic analysis of his phone. There's a variance of grievances and a constant evolution of his plans or intents of what he wanted to do. There's mentions of political and social and cultural issues to include criticism of the current administration. He also does write in there that he was super high on weed and drinking.
This case has raised serious alarms among federal agencies about the potential for AI, including ChatGPT and other chatbots, to be misused as a tool for planning and carrying out attacks, posing a significant threat to national security. The United States warned that North Korea is significantly benefiting from its involvement in the Ukraine conflict, where over 12,000 North Korean troops have been fighting alongside Russian forces. U.S. Deputy Ambassador to the UN, Dorothy Shea, told the Security Council that this collaboration has given North Korea military experience and equipment, making it more capable of waging war against its neighbors.
Since December of 2024, we have seen DPRK troops join in the fighting in Kursk. marking the first time they have participated in large-scale ground combat operations in more than 70 years, and the first time they have done so outside the Korean Peninsula. It is also the first time since the Second World War that Russia has invited a foreign force on its territory for a military operation. In return for its support to Russia, Russia has transferred air defense systems to the DPRK. We are particularly concerned about Moscow's intent to share with Pyongyang satellite and space technologies, which are crucial to an army's communication and intelligence gathering capabilities on the modern battlefield, as we have seen in Ukraine. The DPRK is significantly benefiting from receiving Russian military equipment, technology, and experience, rendering it more capable of waging war against its neighbors. In turn, the DPRK will likely be eager to leverage these improvements to promote weapons sales and military training contracts globally.
These soldiers are essentially slaves to Kim Jong-un, brainwashed to sacrifice their lives on faraway battlefields to raise money for his regime and secure advanced military technology from Russia.
Meanwhile, North Korea's UN Ambassador Kim Song defended the country's missile test, claiming it was for defense purposes and accusing the U.S. of hypocrisy.
Even today, when the civilian death toll exceeded 45,000 in Gaza, United States embellished Israel's nefarious mass killing atrocity as the right to self-defense, arousing public indignation of the international community. Meanwhile, it takes the issue with legitimate exercise of the right to self-defense of the DPRK.
The statement of the outgoing U.S. Secretary of State on the transfer to the DPRK of Russian satellite and space technologies made by him during a visit to Seoul on the 6th of January, and which was repeated today by a number of delegations, is wholly unsubstantiated. Such statements are the latest example of baseless conjecture, which is geared towards smearing bilateral cooperation between the Russian Federation and the friendly nation of the DPRK.
And the news continues here on NET25. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Dahil walang hinto ang balita.
Financial straits.
Mata ng Agila Weekend tuwing Sabado, alas 4 ng hapon. Ito ang NET25. Matatag, matapag, matapak.
Let's net together sa NET25. Sa NET25.
High-speed maglev trains are set to revolutionize travel across China, reaching speeds of up to 800 or 600 kilometers per hour. China has unveiled a prototype of its next-generation high-speed train, the CR450, which is on track to become the world's fastest. The CR450 has already reached test speeds of 450 kilometers per hour and is expected to operate at 400 kilometers per hour once in commercial service, surpassing China's current CR400 model, which operates at 350 kilometers per hour. Developed by CRRC Changchun Railway Vehicles and CRRC Sifan Company Limited, and the CR450 has been praised for its impressive operational speed, energy, efficiency, noise control, and braking performance. It has undergone over 3,000 simulations and 2,000 platform tests to meet the rigorous demands of commercial operation, according to state-run China Daily. However, further line tests and refinements are still needed to ensure it meets all necessary standards for commercial use. The last decade, China has become an undisputed world leader in railway development, building thousands of kilometers of new railways that reach almost every corner of the country. Apple clarified today that it never sold Siri data or used it for marketing. And this comes days after settling a lawsuit alleging the company recorded private conversations and shared them with advertisers.
Apple says it never sold data collected by its Siri voice assistant or used it to create marketing profiles. The Wednesday statement comes days after the tech giant settled a class action lawsuit over Siri. Plaintiffs said Apple had routinely recorded their private conversations, and disclosed them to third parties, including advertisers. They said the recordings happened after they inadvertently activated the voice assistant after saying something similar to its "Hey Siri" alert phrase.
Hey Siri, what's my update?
Apple paid $95 million to settle the case. Many social media users took that as an admission of guilt, but the company has consistently denied the allegations. In its new statement, the iPhone maker said it had never sold Siri data to anyone for any purpose. It said it never retained audio recordings, unless users explicitly opted to allow that.
I respect your privacy and only listen when you're talking to me.
Even then, Apple says the recordings were only used to help improve Siri. A similar lawsuit on behalf of users of Google's voice assistant is pending in California. The plaintiffs there are represented by the same lawyers as in the Apple case.
Want to turn your favorite book into an audio book? South Korea's Wongjin Think Big has the solution with its new AI-powered platform, Bookstory. Take a look.
A company in South Korea is digitizing books in real time using artificial intelligence to provide an immersive reading experience. Wongjin Think Big says its new platform, Bookstory, scans a book, detects its contents, and then converts it into an audio or text version instantly. Rachel Son, an employee of Wongjin Think Big, says the application also uses AI to translate books into various languages.
In our reading mode, we were able to put the scanned book under the camera. Once the book is detected, we're able to flip to any kind of page and it's able to automatically read the book back to you.
Bookstory can also generate a song about the book using the song mode. The company won a CES 2025 Best Innovation Award. Zainab Hassan Ali tested the product at the tech event.
Like with everything, it's not about whether something is good or bad, it's about the way you use it. And this is a very positive way in using AI.
Bookstory will be available for purchase in March 2025.
And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on NET25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thank you all for joining us. Good night.